Trump Town Hall 100 days in. Alright, let's get right into it. Last night was a night of fireworks, folks. No other way to put it. President Trump phoned into News Nation for a town hall marking his first 100 days back in the Oval. We had a packed house. Me, Bill O'Reilly, Stephen A. Smith holding down the fort, along with some big-name guests like RFK Jr. and Steve Bannon. We knew going in this wasn't going to be your typical political chit-chat, and let me tell you, President Trump did not disappoint. We're gonna break down the 5 biggest moments from the night, things you're gonna be talking about all week. Right off the bat, we wanted to hit some of the controversies swirling around the administration. Look, you can't talk about the first 100 days without addressing the elephant, or should I say, the elephantine policies coming out of this White House. And folks, you know me, I don't pull punches. We pressed the president on the tough questions, the tariffs, the border wall, you name it. But President Trump, he stuck to his guns, called it a transition period, his words, and predicted tremendous economic victories on the horizon. Now, whether you buy that, that's up to you. But one thing's for sure, the man knows how to sell it. You wouldn't think it, but there was a whole lot of love in the air last night. And no, I'm not talking about me and Bill. Put your tongue back in your mouth, Bill. I'm talking about President Trump, and believe it or not, Stephen A. Smith. They were like 2 peas in a pod, finishing each other's sentences, praising each other's, well, let's just say they were very complimentary. Trump even went so far as to say, Stephen A. should think about throwing his hat in the ring, said the man's got charisma to spare. Stephen A., ever the showman, just ate it up. Look, I'm not saying they're gonna be exchanging friendship bracelets anytime soon, but it was definitely a love fest, and frankly, a little unexpected. Chapter 3. One of the big promises from President Trump on the campaign trail was those trade deals, those beautiful, beautiful trade deals. So, naturally, we wanted to get an update, pin him down on some specifics. When are these deals gonna be inked? Who are they with? What can the American people expect? Well, let's just say the president was a little less forthcoming than we'd hoped. He danced around the specifics, talked a big game about America's negotiating position, how we hold all the cards, blah blah blah. But when it came to concrete details, dates, names, crickets, look, maybe he's playing his cards close to the vest, or maybe there's less there than meets the eye. You decide. Chapter 4. Now you know Bill O'Reilly doesn't back down from a fight, and last night was no exception. He went toe-to-toe with the president on a whole range of issues. Wouldn't let him off the hook. The tariffs were a big sticking point, Bill pressing him on the impact on everyday Americans, the potential for a trade war, the whole 9 yards. You could practically see the sparks flying through the phone line. And it wasn't just the tariffs. Bill grilled him on immigration, healthcare, even threw in a question about Russia for good measure. Look, I don't envy anyone going head-to-head with Bill O'Reilly, but gotta give the president credit, he held his own. Chapter 5. Of course, we couldn't have a town hall without addressing the elephant in the room, or should I say, the measles outbreak that's got everyone on edge. We brought in RFK Jr., the Health and Human Services Secretary, to answer for the administration's response. Now, you know RFK Jr., he's not one to shy away from controversy. He doubled down on the administration's handling of the outbreak, said they were doing a bang-up job, better than most other countries in fact. He even threw in a few jabs at the media, accused us of fear-mongering. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I know a whole lot of parents out there are scared, and they deserve answers, not accusations. Look, I'm not gonna pretend last night was your typical town hall. It was a spectacle, a roller coaster, a verbal brawl. But at the end of the day, it's up to you, the American people, to decide what you make of it. Did President Trump deliver? Did he answer the tough questions? Or did he just muddy the waters? One thing's for sure, this presidency is anything but predictable, and we're all just along for the ride. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll be back next week with another hard-hitting edition of Cuomo Primetime.